So they come with passion, direction, and I think that's something that's very unique about the organization is that when you're in the organization, you're allowed to contribute your talent, but you're also going to take care of personal and professional business for yourself. So you're not here only to contribute, you're here to grow. So I believe, or we believe, that if you're in the organization and you're challenging yourself and you're walking through the fear and you're growing,
wait a minute,
then we're walking the talk.
Let's stop a minute. You're talking about walking through the fear.
Right.
Why is it that women use that cliche much more than men, and men are supposed to have all this strength and all this ego and all this stuff in their minds? I hear that cliche with women all the time, walking through the fear, even walking through the fear of raising families. Where do you think that came from, and why is it so profound?
Well, from my personal experience and what I've seen is that the majority of women have to be there regardless to support their families, whether they have support or no support. So it's about defying the obstacles. It's the obstacles before us. Yeah, they could challenge us and they could hold us back, but we're always looking for the way, right? So we're navigators because we're constantly trying to provide for our communities. So women, I believe, are community representatives. They're connected to their fathers, their grandfathers, their grandmothers, the children, the people on the corner that don't have food. So they're great advocates. And because they are, they're always looking for resources. So it's about navigating. It's overcoming obstacles, defying obstacles, walking through the fear, because we're advocates. We have to provide. It's part of who we are.
I think a lot of the male bastion would be better off if they listen to some of the things you're saying. You brought up the word compassion, and you brought up the word passion. We as males think that's weakness in our society. And women, they take that little thing there, passion and compassion, and they go hand in hand. I mean, it's like 2 feet.
Well, yeah, women are one of the greatest gifts of women as leaders, or just women in particular, is they have a great, intrinsically, they're empathetic. So empathy and compassion, empathy is being able to see, to listen to someone and try to relate, to understand where they're coming from. It's kind of walking in their shoes and saying, oh, I understand how you got there and how you're affected and where you want to go. So that ability to listen and to empathize helps us serve greater, as greater community representatives.
Ooh, baby, you're laying it down.
So, but there are a lot of men that are empathetic. And something came up yesterday in an organizational meeting, and we have one man in our organization, Jack. He's our IT guy, but this guy is always, when he talks, he leaves me on the floor because I'm like, where'd this come from? But he said, you know, so women are succeeding, and they are at great numbers, and there's a lot of women right now in going into higher ed and taking positions and just moving forward and standing up for their rights. So, but it's up to us women to ask them to come up and meet us. So he was talking about...
Whoa. You're asking a big thing, because a lot of men don't want to come and meet you halfway. Many men, I hear conversations every day. If she don't come to me, I won't go to her. You hear that every day. And here you are, the WGLI is moving and shaking on principles that we think that our whole society should be enrolled in. Am I right?
Yeah, but I think that if we as women set higher standards, men like to work for what they're going to get. You think a lot of them go the easy way if the easy way is put before them. But if they're really interested and you set your standards high, so we have to set our standards higher for men as women, and ask men to come and meet us at those standards.
That means, brother men out there, all my vanilla soul brothers and my regular Afro soul brothers, that you're going to have to get your stuff together.
Yeah, if you want this,
if you want it,
and you want something that's valuable, and you want to participate in my life, hello, you gotta meet me at where I'm at.
At least halfway.
at least halfway.
And
Otherwise,
this is where psychologically we run out of gas at. When a woman says, "Well, can you meet me halfway?" Many men aren't agreeing to that term, so to speak. It's either my way or the highway, you know, and it don't work.
well, I think if women were to say it's either my way or the highway, and you're not going to get any love, and you're not going to get any support, and you're not going to get any food, things are going to start changing.
Men, they need to do that with some men. A lot of them.
I have a great example. There's
Okay.
this village in Africa. They couldn't get the men to do what they wanted in terms of support, breaking down domestic violence, and the men were going out and they were bringing AIDS back into the village and so on. So this village of women got together and they told the men, this is the way it is, and we're going on strike, and there's not going to be any sexual relations here.
Woo!
So they banded together, and these women were able to change these men because the men said they saw that there was no way to work around this, and one of their greatest needs were being taken away from them, right? So it did change, and they were able to force the change.
Hello, America.
All right.
Okay.
If you go there and that bedroom door is closed, and there's a stop sign on it and a hell no sign, get your program together, brother. You better get the message right here.
Yeah, so you know that strike they're going to do, no women? That
No
strike
women.
that's going to happen on Wednesday?
Yeah.
How about if we said, no sex?
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Gina,
Wow.
get me out of this one.
Wow.
We're expecting you to meet us here, and you got to work for it, you know?
Yeah.
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 Oh my God.
All these controlling men will be in a world of pain.
Chastity belts will come back.
Hey, there are also a lot of fabulous men that do support their women.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Right.
Sure. I look at Stephen Curry and his I don't know if it's public or what, but he seems to be very close to his family, you know, and that's what we were talking about a little bit ago, you know, when I was talking about the turkey thing, you know, and I was sitting watching the guy. We have to respect women. There is a level of respect and dignity, and they know when you're communicating realistically or not. They know when you're bullshitting them. They're going to put you out the door. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know. Tell me, how many women are in the WGLI organizations right now? I mean, I'm seeing thousands of women. Thousands.
Well, there's a lot of women into action now. In the organization, I would say that we probably have about 44 committed volunteers that run the organization, and about 101 at any given time. So those others would be trainers and consultants that come through. But literally, if we ask for a volunteer to
Wow.
teach negotiations,
Right.
we'll get 30 applications and we have to turn it off right away. Because, and this was before this women's movement started. And so
Right.
now that this has started, now it's really activated.
Wow.
So we provide the way
Hmm.
for women to make a contribution.
Wow.
So in Croatia and the Balkans, that type of area, they
Yeah.
were calling us an incubator. And I didn't know what an incubator really meant. I was like, okay, this is like where people come in and they plant their ideas and their seeds and they grow
That's not
them,
an incubator.
so forth. What is an incubator?
An incubator is a closed thing. Like, you know, that's where they put chickens in when they hatch chicken, and incubators.
No,
it's
it's
a closed.
to grow.
It's a closed, controlled environment. Is what an
Right.
incubator is. Yeah. Closed and controlled.
Well, I think they were coming from the place of startups, entrepreneurships.
It's a place to grow.
Yeah, a place to grow.
It's a place to, you know, to seed,
Right,
so to
right,
speak.
right.
You know, but one of the things I look at is the way our society is structured. Because when I was a kid, you saw the white picket fence, the red car, the man in a nice suit. He goes out on a Saturday night to his friends, and the woman sits there and raises the kids. Those days are gone.
Yeah,
all right,
those days are
they're gone.
Yeah,
It's partnership now.
yeah,
It's perfect partnership.
yeah.
You know, and you gotta step up to the plate and do what you're supposed to do, and bring that paycheck home. Don't put that paycheck in the bar out there.
Now I've seen a lot of women lately, and one of them was my daughter, and she said, if you can't control your checkbook and you can't be my equal, you're not going to be a team player, So you're not in this relationship. So you got to step back and
women are demanding now. They're making,
analyze if you really want to be
go.
in this. So he was gone for about 6 months. He came back. He applied for the jobs he was terrified to apply for. He got the job that he never thought he was going to get.
Really?
And he's an equal partner. And I said to him the other day, I said something about my daughter, and he said, no, he said, this is my partner, I got to raise her up. And I was so thankful.
You know,
he's like, I got to raise her, I got to hold her up.
If we had that mentality in most men, and let me tell you something, in the inner city ghetto black community, women are second grade. They're second grade.
Well, let's change that.
It's got to change.
Let's change that.
And it's going to change. And if women change the man, then the man needs to, he needs to sit up there and make some changes in himself. Am I right?
Yeah.
He's got to make up his mind. And women, they seem to have this intuitiveness where they can sense when things are going right or wrong, and they're going to sit there and tell you about it. And when they do, don't sit there like a dummy and lie and bullshit somebody. Sit there and say yes and go through it honestly. That is what they're talking about, meeting them halfway. Am I right?
Yes.
God bless America.
About being vulnerable and also asking for help.
Oh, God,
men
no.
don't like
Hell
to ask for
no.
help.
They don't like to ask for help.
But it's easy. You could just say, baby, I'm having a hard time. I don't know what I'm going to do for work. I'm looking for work. And to get that support would help them move forward, right?
Yeah, we're not good communicators. We're good at directing and instructing, but we're not good at communicating and listening and patience.
Because men run from the place of the bottom line and be objective and that type of thing. But that's also valuable. So if you can combine that and be able to listen and communicate, you can be pretty powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, if you're able to build community. So women are very good at building community. But that's the method of empathizing, right? Listening to the needs of others.
That word empathy is a big word.
Yeah, it's a great word.
It's a big word.
It's
huge.
a great word, yeah.
When you put empathy in something, it just kind of takes the bottle cap off the bottle, am I right? And let everything flow.
Yeah.
That's why Dr.
But
Charlie.
also we've conditionally, so there's all these norms and these expectations in society. So men were supposed to be strong, they were supposed to not cry, they were supposed to just bring home the bacon, and then, the cultural norm for women is different, and so now we're trying to break free from those and see what is really the best thing for society and for our families, and so on.
1950, 1949, 1951, I think it was, 51, let me think a minute, it was 50, 51. I remember that people used to say that it was nice for women to drive cars back in those days. That's a man, that's my car. This is a car that for the family. So women normally didn't drive cars. During the Second World War, women did everything.
Yeah.
They
had to support the soldiers. They made bullets, bombs,
tanks. They flew there.
Yeah.
Here we are today, and I'm saying this. From 1924 to 1934, this country was under siege by the oligarch society and money barons. They restricted everything, and one of the first things they did was restrict the right for women to vote. And women got out there and fought to vote. Women are still fighting to vote. Women are still fighting to get ahead. So how does that affect, what kind of mentality do you think in the man bastard that you think of, in your opinion, that when you look at all this in the fight that you're fighting with every day, that the women are still fighting after 80 years?
Well, I think now there are enough opportunities for women. I think it also lies in the actual woman herself. So we have a difficulty asking for what we want. So you see a lot of people now demanding what they want.
Sure.
But it's really about practicing that on a daily basis, not holding back, right? And being able to put this in objective terms, and learning how to negotiate, and being prepared.
Baby, prepared
for rejection, and that's all right, and looking for it some other place. So I think that we're at a perfect time for women to step in.
That
right?
word rejection
and
is big.
And take the power. So now it's a matter of take power.
Don't feel rejected.
Yeah, don't feel rejected.
Get out there and do your thing.
Get out there and do your thing.
You know what? Shake his pants up. Make him pull his pants up when you go into a nice restaurant too.
And then also now, so we have a lot of baby boomers. All these people will be retiring.
Yeah.
So my greatest hope are for the millennials that are coming. I speak to a lot of these guys and they're like, of course she's my equal. It doesn't even occur to them.
The millennials.
Right.
But the baby boomers, that's a different situation.
Right. It's like some of these millennial guys, it doesn't even occur to them.
And it depends on culture too.
Right. Right.
You know, the black culture is kind of behind time. Them boys are like 20, 30 years behind because they feel like, you know, they're egotistical to start out with. And egotism in a relationship really destroys everything. It's just like throwing a hot poker into a doggone thing of hot butter. It's going to explode. Am I right?
Yeah, but I mean, we have to, women as mothers,
right.
we have to start communicating different things.
Right.
And know that it's all right,
right.
to not carry this old cultural conditioning expectation of men that we've had with us.
Mm-hmm.
That is no
so
longer.
It's a two-way street.
That's no longer acceptable.
It's a two-way street.
So the mom can't be there to save the boy either any longer. You know what my granddaughter said to my son?
What?
She said, "Women are not disposable." She said, I don't know where you got that." And she said, "And so if you keep going out with different women, what you're she said, "Do you want me to be married to a man like that, Daddy?"
Oh,
right?
My goodness.
So that was the call to Jesus. That was the call. It was time to change.
Yeah.
Right? So I realized that I must have carried some of that message
right.
from my grandmother and my mother, and that maybe this was in the behaviors, like not having the same expectations for him that I had for my daughter. And it was all right because he was a guy and he could mess up and have more women and have a different expectation for my daughter.
Well, you know what, you're talking about a whole lot of stuff because our society right now is geared in Black America. I forgot that term Afro just gets me sometimes. I'm not a damn African, you know. In Black America, you know, we have this thing of machoism, you know, and the black women are dealing with a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, they're dealing with a lot of this old antiquated stuff, and the women are moving and shaking again. You know, I was looking at a situation in a scenario here not too long ago, and there are more women in colleges than there are men now.
Oh yeah.
More women getting educated than the men are.
I think it's like 65% getting their master's.
Right.
65%.
It's hot.
Yeah, it is hot.
You know, I was looking at Morehouse College, you know, and I'm sitting there going, all these women. I was at the graduation for Cal State, Hayward, the other day, about a year ago. And oh boy, that thing of time. Woohoo! You know, damn time. You know, I was looking at the number of women with masters and accolades in relationship to the number of men. And you know what the thing that cracked me up is?
What?
45% of the men who had accolades were foreigners.
Well, yeah. Well, foreigners are very hungry. I mean, they come to the land of opportunity.
So what about us here in this country? Huh?
Well, it's you know, what are our expectations of our children?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but that has to be in the behaviors too. It's accepted. So, if they're doing something wrong, don't support them.
Right.
Support them when they're doing something right.
But that says a lot. That chemistry says a lot.
Yeah.
You know, about people in this country. A lot of men in this country are very complacent. What do you think about that? No. I asked you a question. We on air. I asked you a question.
Yeah, I think complacency is.
And you know I'm telling you
I
the
think
truth.
Complacency is a problem of America, and if anything, what this presidential election did was show people that they better take responsibility for their future, right?
Or they ain't gonna have one.
Or they ain't gonna have one.
You know.
So I feel that this is not only activating women, but also activating men. because there has been a great number of people saying, I'm going to run for office, and I'm going to get involved, and I'm going to speak, and it's
We've been talking about complacent men. You know, that seems to be a big problem in the female community when men just get to the point where they just want to live the next day like the next day like the next day. You know, and the other thing we were talking about is you were talking about your granddaughter. Girl children, they see everything.
Yeah.
They absorb everything, am I right?
Yes, and they understand much more than we do at times.
Wow. My goodness. You know, and I look at this whole thing and I say to myself, you know, that we really don't know what they're thinking half the time.
My granddaughter calls things as she sees them. She said the other day, she was talking to somebody and she came to me and I said, tell me, because she just does this look in her eyes like, and she said to me, he doesn't even believe what he's saying. That's all she says.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. I can imagine. You know, we're in a society, right now we're growing so fast we can't control it. Kids are growing. I mean, they're coming into this world knowing what's going on almost. Am I right?
Yeah, they're very, I mean, is it all the media or the access to the social media or what it is? But a lot of them are very mature.
Yeah, my granddaughters have been using the computer since they were 4 years old. One was 3 and one was 5.
Yeah.
They've been using, and you know, and cell phones and stuff like this. You know, what will I say to you if I'm going to ask you a real hardcore question? Okay, I'm going to throw you under the fire. Okay.
I like the fire. I'm all excited waiting for the question.
When women look at men today, and men aren't coming up to par, as so to speak, what is the first thing that woman thinks? Is it I can make him come up, I can help him come up, or I'm going to wait for him to come up? Which one of the three that you think is the most prevalent?
Well, all of them make me think of women seeing the potential in men, what they could be, what they could achieve, how they could show up, and so on. And so I feel that that's a mistake, because if there are no indicators that he's moving that way, you're not going to make him move, right?
Wait a minute, say that again.
So if there are no indications, no indicators that he's on his way to feeling achieved, that he's achieving, that he's able to provide security, that he's be able to provide an income for himself and for the family and or for you, I would say just move over. Right.
But, you know,
so I think that it is prevalent that women see the potential in men, what they could be. So I see that quite often, but I think that that's a
labor of love, isn't it?
That's a slippery slope, I would say.
The slide, the slick, and the wicked, huh?
I also think it depends on what stage of life the woman is in.
Yes.
Of course, I think the younger they are, the more they're going to be more optimistic.
Yes.
But some will look at, well, I'm at this point in my life, and you being at this point in your life, you should have your stuff together by now. I have no time for this.
Yes.
You know what? You talk about the exit status, exit strategy. You know, I think that's in a lot of young women today. You know, here I am, almost 74, and I've been dating around for the last year. Okay, and yeah, I have been through young, middle-aged, old, as young as 35.
Woo!
Yeah.
Well, because you look fresh.
It's about taking care of yourself, man. It's about taking care of yourself. But anyway, the 35-year-old, some of them get stuck in that 35. They're not ready to assimilate into higher, you know, as far as age is concerned. I see a lot of them. They want to stay back in that and then hang out with the teeny boppers and stuff like that. I see a lot of that. I saw a lot of that. Very intelligent, you know. And in the 45 to 50-year-old, I was going out with this super gorgeous woman. She was 51. I mean, brilliant, making $150,000 a year. you know, beautiful car, lived in Oakland Hills, you know, and insecure about men because men had not made a good footprint on her when she was younger, you know. And in the one that was 60 years old, she was just a professional. She was a very beautiful woman, very rich. And I saw that a lot of caution, extreme caution at times. So to go to this all through these women of all these different races and colors and sizes, you know, I would say, I noticed that one thing. They all move forward, no matter who or what they were. They always move forward, where the man kind of becomes stagnant a little bit. So when you're talking about a woman picking a man up, that's a big fight today. You know that? I've seen that. That's a huge fight on the woman's, and she has to be patient. But the man doesn't have any patience. That's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. I see a lot of women very frustrated with their options in terms of men. What I try to encourage them to do, I said, look, get off the apps, get off those apps, and go do something that you feel great conviction behind. Go and volunteer, provide a service, do something, and that's where you're going to meet somebody who shares the same values.
Yeah. That's
kind of a mirror of what you want to see moving forward. And I said, and forget those apps, forget the bars. And then through friends, because there's another...
the bars are horrible.
Yeah.
And the apps are deadly in some respects.
Yeah.
They're dangerous sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, that's taking big shots.
I really think it's time for us to just set the bar higher. If women in all areas set that bar higher, men are going to feel very lonely, and those men that are stagnant will come up.
They're already lonely.
Yeah.
I'm going to say something on this air. A lot of the boys are going with the boys now, you know, because they can't handle the women. I'm gonna tell you that.
You think?
I see it every day.
You're not gonna get some kickback on the radio for saying that?
I don't care. They out there giving up the booty and trying to be dainty and feminine.
Yeah.
I don't care about getting no kickback.
But you really think that's because
that's a big problem.
Women are too hard to handle?
Women are progressive.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Women are progressing, and a lot of the mankind is regressing. They just don't want to move up. Why would a 55-year-old, 51-year-old man, or 50, or either a 35-year-old man want to walk around with his pants on his doggone thighs, like he's 15, 16 years old, giving booty in jail?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, folks. This is not reality. Women are moving. Women are educating. I think I saw a statistic. 61% of the women in the state of California are endeavoring higher education, no matter what the race is.
Right.
Only 37% men.
Yeah. I have a good example. We had one lady that went through the program. Her name is Taz, and she was living in Oakland, 3 kids, Muslim, had her husband's family back in Oakland, and she was progressing, and her ex-husband was having problems with substance abuse and that type of thing. And after she went through the program, she saw her worth. She saw very clearly what she needed to do. And she called me and she said, next Saturday I'm giving away everything in my place.
Really?
I'm moving to Oklahoma. And it was like, wait, what are you doing? You know, maybe you should sell your stuff. And she said, look, she said, there's nothing of worth in this place, in this apartment, compared to what lies in my future. And she realized she had to break away, right? So she had to break away, let go of all that garbage in order to succeed and move forward.
I know what she means. I know how she feels. Because, you know, in life, when you feel like you have to give it all up to endeavor and do the things in life that you want to do, it's a small price.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very small price.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about Thursday, the Debugging the Gender Gap?
The what?
The Debugging the Gender Gap, the event that's on Thursday.
Oh, that's in Santa Rosa, California. So we sponsor a lot of women, a lot of events, and we put on events that help provide opportunities for women to see what's possible. So that event is Debugging the Code. It's a documentary that's being put at Santa Rosa Junior College, and that will provide women with the opportunity to see what's possible in breaking the code in that in that industry. We also co-sponsor events in Women in Bio, Women in Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done in gender equity conferences here and symposiums. So we were very event driven for a while, and we pulled back in order to build organizational structure. So now we're getting back out in the community. So you start seeing us in Oakland, East Bay, Walnut Creek, San Francisco, North Bay. We're going into Atlanta, DC.
Wow.
Hopefully Michigan really soon.
Wow.
Going into Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah, Lower New York. Yeah.
Wow.
So right now we were delivering programs, but right now our main focus is to provide partners with programs. We're providing partners with programs so they could educate the women they serve. Right. So community agencies who provide services for women, we're providing them with the tools and the education to educate these women and move them out.
Yeah, I see you really standing behind them as far as, you know, like you were saying, tech and science.
Right, right. No, but also in moving forward in their careers.
Yeah, just helping them to get to where they need to be.
Yeah.
So debugging the gender gap is it's a big flower to dig out of the ground, so to speak.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's a lot of work.
The documentary or
Right.
the event or
Right. Yeah, the event.
yeah, it's a pretty big event. I mean, we've done debugging the code before the documentary in different areas, so this is in the second year, but in Santa Rosa we're a year behind there.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Nationally, how many women you think support you?
I'd say like 25,000.
More than that.
But, well, yeah, more than that, but those are the women that are verified. So if we look at our sphere of influence, right, so who are the people closest to us that we have influence? So if you want to say 25,000 connected to 10,000, I mean, you can go up into 100,000.
Right.
I mean, there are people that know of us in Tunisia, Croatia, Bosnia, Afghanistan. We were involved in the Women's Economic Forum in The Hague, and now we're going to be involved in the Women's Economic Forum in New Delhi in India. So we're really growing. Yeah, we're really.
You know, it's my hope. How you need to put some numbers out there, okay? Contact numbers.
Oh, contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be a lady right now going,
Oh yeah,
I
so
need
if
this.
you would like to, I don't have the WGLI number with me, but I have my number. So our phone, you can reach me, and it'll go into the central contact at 707-481-4968. So 707-481-4968. Whether you want to participate in one of our programs, whether you want to move forward in your career, you want to create a career.
Just want to move forward in life in general.
Yeah, and if you have some expertise that you want to share in order to empower women in your local community, bring it on.
Yeah.
And the website is WGLI.org.
WGLI.org.
Yeah, Women's Global Leadership Initiative.
Okay, I'm looking at this thing, and it says, this documentary focused on the lack of women and minorities in computer science,
Yes.
software engineering, exploring the reason of this gender gap.
Yes.
Asking society would gain from having more women and minority codes.
Yes.
So, this reminds me of 1956, 55, 56. Uh-oh, there I'm telling my age again. The mid-50s, when women, right after the Second World War and the Korean War, when women were just moving and shaking. And this is history repeating itself again as I see it.
Ah.
Yeah. You know, and
I get it.
people don't like me saying that. You know, whenever you talk about gender gaps, you know, and women excelling, they kind of like, oh man, I don't want to hear that stuff.
But wait until it's their wife.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Or more importantly, their daughter or somebody
Yeah.
So my daughter's going into environmental engineering,
Mhm.
and she does say that But it's also this cultural conditioning that women are not supposedly good at math, so they do very good.
No way.
They do very well in math and biotech and science when they're in all-girls school, because then they don't have to kind of dumb it down for the guys and that type of thing. So we're changing that, and there are more women going into these different fields, but we have to provide them with the access to go into these fields.
This past week I went and saw that movie. What's the name of it with the three ladies?
Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna be doing a campaign that's similar
Yeah.
to Hidden Figures,
Yeah.
to bring women who are in leadership roles, who are bringing it on the street, and who are not recognized. Because when we ask women who are your greatest role models, they're always naming women that are very, very close to them, their mothers, their grandmothers, aunts, which is great, or women who are very, very far removed, maybe even in another country. So we need to recognize the women that are in our communities, right? Support those women so that women have a frame of reference. I want to be like her.
We're
because
having
she
such
brings
a
that
good
up.
time today. I hope we've covered a lot of stuff, you know, and I hope that a lot of you pass this around, and I want you to just kind of, you know, do your thing. You know, and a day without a woman is a big thing. And let me read this. It affirms our commitment for the principles of unity which we are collaboratively outlined for the Women's March. We are inspired by recent courageous actions like the bodega strike. I mean, this just goes on and on and on and on and on. And I'm sitting here and we're having such a good time, but seriously, this is a serious affair. And we want you to listen and pass this on again, and you know, and become part of this. And if you are want to volunteer, you want to give your number again?
Yeah, our number is area code 707-481-4968, and you can email info@wgli.org, and somebody will get back to you within 48 hours.
Wow, that's quick.
Well, because we got to respond. We got standards to meet. And so if we have somebody out there who wants to contribute and wants to change their lives, that's a spark. They're taking the initiative. We're there to support that initiative.
You keep bringing that word of standards. Mm-hmm. Every other word you said is standards. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that for a little bit? Where does that resonate in your repertoire as I got that one good, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. Well, standards are, okay, so when you have a stake in the ground, so the women that we work with, when they walk away, they have a stake in the ground. That stake in the ground represents their standards, their principles, their values. Boom! The value of my personal history. I know where I've been and what it's about me that's helped me come forward. It's because I'm stubborn, it's because I'm idealistic, or whatever that is, right? I know the value of my personal history. I know what's brought me forward, right?
Yeah.
I know where I'm going with clarity and conviction. I know what is no longer negotiable, right? And I'm moving forward. So that stake in the ground are my standards. It's by that which you measure everything. Anything that doesn't fall within your values and what you want for yourself, your family, your community, just let it fall away. So that stake in the ground are your standards.
Well,
it's what you stand for.
And you have to stand for something. If you don't,
and you got to be willing to lose what is no longer what serves you.
Wow.
Right? And you got to be willing to move forward with clarity and direction and conviction.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
And nothing else is negotiable. It's not negotiable. Right? I'm here to bring it on. So those are my standards.
You bring it on, honey bun.
Yeah. So standards are making it stand. It's one and the same.
Wow.
Right?
You know, the thing about that is I was listening to a barber. I was getting my hair cut 4 months ago, 5 months ago now. The little jackass was talking about he takes women's welfare checks. I go to each of my women and take. I said to him, I said, one of these days, one of them's going to turn on you and take you out.
Has he seen Snapped?
Has seen what?
Snapped.
What the heck is Snapped?
That means somebody snaps somebody's neck.
No,
doesn't
that's
it?
a television show. All it is all these women that these men have done something wrong to them, and eventually one day they snap. Dude end up dead some kind of way.
Because snap means revenge.
Yeah. But you know, he said to me he had 7 women and he gets $100 a piece from them.
I believe it.
I mean, that's
horrible.
That's what I'm talking about. You know, that is exactly the kind of stuff that, like you said, Gina, it gets people killed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and especially if he's making his little trek and somebody follows him and another woman sees him and, you know, and decide to do something to him.
Well, a lot of these women, they actually know. How could you not know?
Yeah.
You know inside.
Really?
You know inside, intuitively, you know when something's not right.
Right.
You can choose to ignore it, you can do something about it, or, you know. Or
This is where standards come in.
Yeah.
You know, and ladies,
you know.
if you're out there supporting Jackass, you know, and he's out there being pretty and on the street corner with all his knockoff regalia, I said that right too, you know, he's not worth it. So it's about sacrifice, am I right?
Yeah, and what it ends up being is a sacrifice improves your life, and by setting those standards, you get a lot more. The payback that you get is more positive, right? When you can wake up in the morning,
That's what women can't
and not
see.
feel ashamed, of how you're living your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some are in that mentality that somebody is better than nobody, but messing around with Mr. Wrong, you're wasting time, and Mr. Right is going to find somebody else.
Let's say that again.
Yeah.
Say what again?
That's what you just said.
What?
They're messing with Mr. Wrong.
And that's wasting all the time. They could be with Mr. Right. He'll go find someone else.
Dang it, ladies. I'm in love with both of you.
Yeah, don't be a victim. And don't be a martyr. Set your standards, let all the garbage fall away, and see what you want for yourself with clarity, right?
Yeah.
And confidence.
Yeah.
And when you're walking in the street, when you stand tall, that's what you're going to attract.
Yeah, because they figure, oh, there's so many women, the women-man ratio, there's just so many women, you just have to accept it. No, you don't. There are men out there that will be faithful and that will treat you well and will respect you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Man, Bastion, you're in trouble with standards. You better bring yours up. That's what you've been talking about this whole program.
Yeah.
And
no, and also
are like, why is Gina talking all of a sudden?
That's okay.
No, because Gina's got something to say.
Gina's the boss.
Got something to say. And to all those women who have boys, you know, our message that we need to communicate to them are those standards.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. It's time for us to change how we treat boys compared to girls at home, right?
Right.
And what we say to them.
And how we treat them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not objects.
Right.
They're not sexual possessions.
Right.
You know, that's a big one in the black community. You know that, don't you? I'm just saying that I see it every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Hispanic community too. I'd be out there in the Fruitvale district, and I mean, it's just like women are sex objects.
Well, yeah, but it's not fair to say it as a generalization because there are
some good guys.
Some really,
but it's rampant.
beautiful.
It's rampant the way they treat women. I see it all the time.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing.
And it has to change.
No, it's going to change, and it is changing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the millennials and then on top of that, all the women that are becoming educated and this movement is really bringing a lot of clarity.
Right.
Right.
Right. I see a lot of Hispanic women going to school now. Lots of them.
Lots of them.
Lots of them.
They have the Latino Democratic.
Yeah.
They have Young Latino Network.
Yeah.
They have Latino.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good for our society.
I think that at one point we had about 45% of the people involved engaged were Latinas.
Really?
That might still be the case, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
Sí se puede.
Sí se puede. Viva la raza y para adelante. Yeah. Sí,
Wow.
verdad.
Because they're like, I can do this now. I don't need to wait for Mr. Whatever, who's a man over there.
There's a lot of losers out there in our society.
Yeah, but there's a lot of winners too.
There are a lot of winners too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what? One of the guys, I was in Nordstrom's one day about a month ago, and I felt so good. I was emotional when I saw this. This young guy came in. He was dressed in a suit. He had his 2 little daughters and a little son with him, and he brought his wife to shop that day, and they all sat down and waited till she shopped, and then they all got up, you know, and he paid for it. You know, this is what my idea of man is.
Yeah, it's a good example.
And I go back to Gloria Bailey Ray, and man, you know, man meets your needs.
Yeah.
Meets all needs, not just a need, but man meets all needs. And boys, a burden on you ladies. And you know, when he knocks on your door, you hang a sign up there that says BOY or MAN.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send this podcast to Gloria. She gonna laugh at you.
Dang it.
I love Gloria.
But she's cool. She's
yeah.
cool.
When I went to Oakland for the first time, no, I had been there several times, but when I went there to start organizing, and I told her, I said, "What is it every time I go and I say, and I ask and I want to do, the door opens up," and she said to me, "It's a renaissance." And I was like blown away. I had goosebumps, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
you know, because that means hope, revolution, renewal. Has a lot of positive impact.
Well, you know what? Women are leading the political battle right now. You see more women's groups. You see men's groups out there too, and I'm not knocking the guys, but you see a lot of women activist groups out there now actually doing things. And that's one of the things that I say about everybody today. I mean, everybody is trying, not everybody, but a lot of people are trying to show who they are and show what they have. You know, do something concrete along with that showing. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, do something.
Yeah, don't go out there and just demonstrate. Where's the plan?
Right.
What are you going to do? How are you going to implement it? How is it going to have an impact, and who is it going to affect?
Right. One of the fireballs that, you know, the other fireball, I love you, I'm going to tell you that. Tell you, man, I love you too. I'm in love with you. That, you know, Nina Turner from Ohio. Oh, I love that lady.
Yeah, I love her too.
Oh my God, she gets out there and put it out there. And I want you to go on wherever social media and look at her and look at her message. She's a woman with a message. You know, Maxine, what's her name? Waters. Oh my God, these are women who are just, you know, just moving and shaking. Elizabeth, what's her last name? Elizabeth
Warren.
Warren.
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
She's on fire too.
Fireball women. You know, and she's just shaking the pants off, man.
Well, they're to the point, which is wonderful, where it's like, what do they call it? Transparency. Let's be transparent here. You know, let's put that bullshit aside and let's talk about what really matters and what's the truth. Right. Right. Let's start being diplomatic about these things, and let's start taking some action and making some change. Yeah. You know, and that's what they are. That's what they're about.
Yeah. You know, and we Donna Brazil said some things last week. You know, and it's again in concert of support of women. You know, and women are supporting women. I mean, tenaciously in our society right now. I love this dialogue.
It was time. It was time.
It's past time.
Yeah, it's time.
You know, and a real good friend of mine came by the other night, and we were sitting there having coffee, and she said to me, you know what, women are going to change this world. I looked at her like, I said, you got that one. I could not disagree with her. You know, we're sitting there, and I said, Miss Jackson, you got a point. Women are making a difference. There's a lot of guys out there, but you know, it seems to be that, you know, 65% of women in the college is just crazy.
And it's not only about changing things for women, like I said before.
They're
definitely community representatives. So they'll, you know, if the men need something, if the children need something, if the elders need something, that is their mission, is to serve their community.
Wow.
So that's why it's so important to get women into leadership.
Right.
That's why it's so important.
Yeah, well, look at Nancy Pelosi. She's been out there fighting a long time.
Yeah. I'd like to meet her.
She's cool.
Yeah. Hey, Nancy, if you're listening,
Yeah.
give me a call so we can have some coffee.
She's cool. She's cool. You know, she's cool. You know, and there's a lady, her last name is Kelly. She is the city administrator for the city and county of San Francisco. Miss Kelly is a fireball, and you know, very quiet fireball, very contentious about how she does things, and got a lot of passion and dignity. I've seen her actually stop, you know, people in the hallway there at San Francisco City Hall and talk to everyday people, and a lot of those people will not do that.
Yeah, that's very important.
You know,
to be connected to the community that you serve is very important.
She is connected to the community, and you know, I love people like that, because throughout my lifetime, when I was hitchhiking across country, believe it or not, more women picked me up than men. And I was 16, and I mean, it'd be raining and storming, and I'd be underneath freeways and overpasses, you know, and I'll tell you, I learned a lot from the Women Bastion when I was young, you know, and I'm gonna say something to you off cuff, you know, treat your woman right again, be nice. Have a little patience, have a little bit of dignity, and a little bit of respect, okay?
And honor her.
And honor her. On a serious note, you know, putting all the joking aside, you know, I say, take care of your woman. Olive Belke. Olive is a very good proponent of against, you know, physical violence of men on women, domestic, you know, violence, and Olive is on Facebook and everywhere, and read some of the things she has to say sometime. You know, hell of an individual, hell of an individual, and got a lot of conviction about life, and a very beautiful and heartfelt woman with a lot of compassion and dignity and self-respect. You know, we got to put that out on a serious basis. Okay, now back to my guest now. Aha. Aha! We're talking about WGLI a little bit earlier, and the number of people that's actually steering things along in this country. I mean, you're making a difference. How do you feel about yourself personally? I want to put you under the gun for a minute, okay? How do you feel about yourself personally and making all these accolades and doing all these wonderful things and actually steering people through life?
Well, I feel that I'm very fortunate that I was able to move out of survival mode and be able to survive everything that I came through, and that I was offered this opportunity to serve as the catalyst for this organization. But I also need to say that, you know, I'm as powerful as those that support myself personally and support the organization. So it's definitely a team effort. So it's about allowing people to contribute where they can contribute and letting them be who they are, and that type of thing. So I feel, so at the end of the day, what I feel about myself is that I'm very, very blessed. And I'm very, very blessed.
That's saying a lot.
And I feel like I'm an instrument of, if you believe in God, I'm an instrument of God, or people believe in something else, and that if I could stay in that, and if I could listen, I could really serve that many more women. You know?
Well, it's very inspiring and empowering, and I'm sure a lot of women have come to a place where they thought they weren't even capable of.
Women are capable of whatever they endeavor. It's just the stigma that men have put on so many women for so many years that they cannot accomplish anything. What's that movie, Three Pieces? What was that movie? What do you call that movie with the three ladies?
Hidden Figures.
Hidden Figures. I mean, I was impressed. I was highly impressed that three women, and then not just about women of color, but women in general. You know, the male bastion society just got his head up his butt sometime, you know, and we just don't, and again, that ego thing is huge. We need to get off of it. Am I right?
Yeah, I totally agree. I also, as I mentioned before, that things also have to change at home, you know, with the women.
There you go again.
And what we, yeah, here I go again with the standards, right?
Right, the standards.
Right.
I see
But
it
also
coming.
what we say to our sons and our expectations of men and so on. So yesterday in this conversation with this IT guy at WGLI, he said, you know, during the 60s and the women's revolution, we expected women to achieve more and to take on rights and all that. And he said, but you know what was missing? We didn't ask the men to rise.
Wow.
So he said we didn't ask them to meet women. We didn't ask them to be better men. And I said, where'd you get this? And he says, I'm one of those men. That I never received.
This
that
is a testimony.
Yeah, I never received that message. And I said, wow. Right.
So what did he say they did instead of that?
He said it was just status quo. How the way the men were was fine. It wasn't part of the conversation. Also in that same conversation, we had a project manager that just came on to WGLI a scene, and she said, well, how about bringing men into the conversation? You know, about this gender equity and pay equity. That's important that they become part of the conversation in order to really create genuine equity, right?
Yeah.
And right? And I said, yeah, that's true.
You know
That's
what?
something that we need to do.
That casts fear in a lot of men. When you said gender and pay equity,
Uh-huh.
that's still a big fight.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible, right?
It's
2017.
2017.
What the hell?
You know, and that's what I'm
75
not
cents
knocking
to the
men.
dollar. What is that?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking men, but it's just the same bullshit they've been doing for 80 years, and before that, they're still here.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's incredible, you know, and it's a small-minded entity in our society, and I believe that if we grow minds, no matter who they are or what they are, that we have a better society. That's
Yes.
my rendition
Yeah,
of it.
it's education.
But you know, I don't have no, you know, I don't like no weak woman. I'm gonna tell you that. I like a strong, independent, you know, articulate, you know, woman who's got her stuff together. You know, and some of the women I've been out with, guys say, "Oh man, I'd never go out with that. She just eats you alive." I said, "Well, that's because you're a damn wimp."
Yeah, because that's a challenge.
You know,
There's some passion in that
You're
woman.
a damn wimp. That's what you are.
Let her bite me.
You know,
Is that what you were saying? Let her bite me.
You know, I can handle it. You know,
Yeah.
I can handle it. You know, and I didn't have the exit thing that you were talking about as a man, but I've been through 2 marriages, and both of them came to the point I had married the same person, different faces,
Yeah.
and I realized that, and I had to just get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and I have grown. You know what? 3 years ago, I ran for mayor of Oakland.
Oh.
You know, and I have made ends and roads. You know, and I've been dealing in real estate for the last 2-3 years, and I've done pretty well. You know, and it's just because you can't sit there and expect somebody to push you up, and you got to pull them up, and you're pulling and pulling and pulling, and they're not pushing, or they're not coming along.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
That does not work. You know, and the thing of it is, I love the hell out of both of them, but I came to the point where, you know what, I don't have a lot of time in life. I'm 73, turning 74. I don't have that time that a lot of people. You know what I did here last year?
What?
I went and took the race car test, the 200-mile-per-hour test. Yeah. And I went 199.77.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
And I felt like I'd had sex for the day. Yeah.
I love to race, and all the women in my family love to race.
I felt pretty, and people were saying to me, "But you're 73 years old. You shouldn't be out here. Why not?"
Oh, why not?
You know, and you know what? And the same kind of man that I am is the same kind of woman that I would love to have.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
moving and shaking and ain't taking no numbers. Ain't, as they say down in Louisiana, ain't not. You know, they remember those old cliches, and they were all, you know, oxymorons, but ain't not.
Ain't not.
Ain't not. You know, I'd like to have somebody who's just out there. You know, and everybody who's looking for somebody, you got the standards. We're going back to standards again. That word is just synonymous in my repertoire right now, standards. You got to do it the standard thing. You know, am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you know.
So you're talking about attracting and being with somebody who's your equal.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, it's horrible when you have to worry of like where he is and if he's going to get a job and if he's meeting his potential and
who he's with.
Who he's with and that constant reinforcement. I mean, a man should not be your child.
Man should not be a child.
Or your child.
Or either way.
Yeah.
You know, either way.
Come on.
You know, and you know, when people are children and people can't grow, that's another thing that I see, that black women are moving really, really fast.
Yeah.
God, the historic black colleges are just inundated with women.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It's
the men
wonderful.
on the corner, they're on the corner with knockoff Jordans and knockoff Ed Hardys and, you know, gold chains and gold teeth, you know, and all this. They're children. You know, there was an old saying that I heard for years and years and years. Once a man, twice a child. A man is a child when he comes, and he's a child when he leaves. That's serious. You know, you guys are laughing, but I know some, my friend over in Oakland. You know, he's 70. He's just turned 70, and he has a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old. And when he met this woman he's with, she was, you know, young, 20 years younger than him, 22 years, 23 years younger than him. So now they have one of the most beautiful families. So there is no way that anybody gonna tell me that it cannot happen, that a man can't change. And he was hardcore. We used to drink whiskey every day. We go out running women every day. I mean, all over the world. I mean, we were promiscuous when we were very young, you know, in the Navy, you know, and here we are, you know, looking at the change of life. And a woman changed his life. So, to the man bastion, don't think that she cannot change. And WGLI, I want you to put that, burn that in your brain and in your butt or wherever you want to burn it at. WGLI, you know, women shaking and, you know, I mean, just doing it good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are a pioneer, Miss Ruiz. You've been through a lot in life.
Yeah.
I listened to the first time I met you. You've been through a whole lot.
Yeah, I remember when she was talking about going through the neighborhoods with the gun under her seat.
Oh my God! I saw that on the
remember.
radio. Yeah, that was taking girls who off the streets in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was crazy. Ooh.
So you're a pioneer. You were saving people's lives and risking yours.
Yeah, I was a little bit crazy.
No.
Yeah.
No, you were just putting them before you. You weren't thinking about.
That's passion and compassion.
Well, because they were ready to leave the circumstance. So I knew that I told them, I said, when you're ready to come out of that, you call me and I'll be there. So I made that commitment. So it was, they would call me. Oh, sorry. They'd call me at 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning or, if I was lucky, at a normal time, but usually it was in the middle of the night when the angels opened up the sky and they said, I have an opportunity to get out of this and I want a better life for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's choice.
Yeah, choice.
Life is choice.
Yeah.
You know, and you pushed a lot of people to choose.
Yeah.
You were the example.
Yeah, possibly.
I'll get off of it.
I think I was the catalyst. I had the car, the gun under my seat, and I was like, come on, girlfriend, you want to get out of this shit? Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. That's
Yeah.
why we like to have you here. You impress me, I'm going to tell you that. And that's hard to do. I'm not an impressionable person.
Well, I'm impressed too.
Yeah, you impress me. Because you know what, you don't just walk the walk. You talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yeah.
There are so many people out here that are living phony. You know, one of the things I keep saying, all the clothes and the cars and everything don't mean anything if you're not a human being.
Mm-mm. You really don't.
You know, I was in Lake Chalet last week, and this guy picked this girl up. And they got to talking, and she agreed to go out with him. And I don't know what he said to her. 20 minutes later, she's walking back in the door crying. And I wanted to ask her, you know, what happened, but you know, you can't do that because I don't. So I just said, well, hey, let me buy you a drink, okay? And nothing behind it. I see that you're emotional. Let me buy you a drink. And you know what she did? She walked over and hugged me and says, who are you? I gave her one of my cards. She said, oh, damn, I know who you are. You know, you're that guy off of Radio Valencia. I said, yeah. I said, you know, have another drink. And I said, I'm leaving, okay. And you know, that's what compassion is.
Yeah.
You know,
and there's no judgment in there. It's like, you know, I care about you, sister.
That word judgment is big.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Because we prejudge everybody.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing with our society.
Uh-huh.
And we miss out on the best when we do that.
And we all make mistakes all the time.
That's
Some
right.
of us talk about it, and most of us hide them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hide with our mistakes, but that's what really makes us human.
Mm-hmm.
And sharing that information is what really
you know, synonymous of what we're talking about is during the 50s and the 60s, the word love was and you know, and compassion and dignity and all that stuff. You know, households didn't talk about that. The woman had to emulate that. She had to show that. The man showed control and he showed bravado and all this kind of stuff. But the mother was the one that showed, you know, all the emotions and everything. You know, and I remember I got hit by a car. I think I was 9. It didn't hit me. I was in the parking lot and the guy backed into me. I was on my bicycle. And my mom, I have no idea where she came from. We were on a block from the house. Somebody said something, you know. And the next thing I know, she was out there running. And she picked me up, you know, and started crying. And I'm going, why is she crying? I just got hit. You know, that's okay. And the guy was furious. He was going, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, you know. But I realized my mother died at 32. But the short time that she was here, she put a lot into me, you know, and my grandmother was she was a pioneer, and she did a lot of things for people. She ran her church, and she would go to church 3 or 4 times a week just to help people. You know, and she cooked for people who did not have. So I grew up with a very compassionate family. When my mom died, I felt like the world had dropped out.
Oh yeah.
And we was talking about that with another guy the other day. You know, and again, what I'm saying is women are very, very important in our lives. And we don't need to be as men like we are in a lot of respects. And again, there are some really good guys out there, but there's some real jackasses out there too.
Yeah.
You know. And I just want to say to you, I really appreciate when you come on here, what I'm getting at. You bring a lot of emotion and a lot of sense, and you bring a message to people that I really enjoy. And this is what Thoughts of a Common Man is all about. This is my whole life, is what you're talking about today. That's why I say I'm in love with you as a person, as a human being. You know, and we don't do that anymore. We don't tell people we love them just because we love them. There's always these other little isms and jisms in it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, no, I do. And
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that one call to action, I mean, in talking about love and expressing and all that, is when you have somebody in front of you, recognize them. Mm-hmm. You know, because so many people are just waiting to be recognized, to be acknowledged for the contribution of just giving you the change. You could, you know, at a grocery store, you could say, wow, you have a real brilliance about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of recognition, because we all are searching to be accepted and to be loved.
Yeah. There's a lot of lonely people out there.
Yeah.
You know, this radio station gets, I get, oh God, I get the pros and cons, and Facebook is jumping, and this is jumping, and social media is jumping. There's a lot of lonely women. There's a lot of lonely men out there.
Yeah.
And here we're talking about connecting, and we're talking about, you know, getting to know each other. We talk about patience. We see a lot of things in this program here.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, just to me, again, that's what we're all about.
I too really appreciate being invited here, and the conversation's not like, it's not all political, but it's about what really matters. And of course, there's the political climate, what's going on, and we all know that, and we see it, and we feel it, and hear it all day long. But really,
it's tiring.
Yeah, but really
right.
what's most important are the people,
The people,
you know?
the people, yeah,
The souls,
yeah.
right?